morning and welcome to The Point. It is Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. Thank you to those of you joining us on the GBN, Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channel 7, 11 and 20. Good morning to the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9, as well as the viewers on the Party Grenada and Go to FET Facebook pages and Party Grenada's website. Happy to have you joining us this morning for To The Point. Joining us as our virtual guest is the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Shawn Charles, and of course he's here to give us the latest updates in relation to all health matters, special focus on COVID-19, of course. Good morning, Dr. Charles. How you do?
Hi, good morning to you once again, and good morning to all the viewing and listening audience.
Happy to have you, sir. This morning we were gonna, of course, focus on COVID-19, and before we get into the specifics with vaccine and so on and so forth, if you can just briefly recap for us the past year. Monday gone, the 22nd, is the 1 year anniversary since we recorded our first case in 2020. 1 year and 2 days later, how would you sum up Grenada's response to the COVID-19 and the way forward for the next, what would possibly be maybe the next year or so?
Well, it has certainly been a whirlwind year, to put it lightly. As you have observed, we have been responding to COVID for, well, it's a little bit, because our response started shortly before, sometime before we actually got our first case, because we started preparing from the time we started receiving signals from the outside that this new disease was discovered in China, and then we observed all of the measures that were taken by the Chinese authorities to keep this disease under control. We started looking on with concern. We started informing ourselves as to what could be the potential implications for Grenada. Then we saw the disease move from China, and then it started appearing in some of the developed countries. And we continued to monitor with concern. We saw them adopt different measures. And then, the world came to the full realization that, listen, this thing is much more serious than probably we are all expecting. And from then we went into full response mode. We started our education with different stakeholders, especially at ports of entry. We placed lots of attention into ports of entry. We started working with the information that we had at the time. All right, we worked with the information that we had at the time, and we did our best. Then we had our first case. All right. And then our first case became, a few more. And then we went into lockdown. All of it was unprecedented. You really had very little time to think. It was a really fast moving target. And the Ministry of Health, we did our best. We knew the resources that we had to work with. We knew what we didn't have. Because remember, at that time, the focus was all on PPEs, ventilation, and testing. All right. When we started this journey, we looked at our stocks, and the desperate measures that were almost desperate measures that were taken to try and secure supplies from around the world. It was really, really an uphill battle, all right, to locate PPEs wherever they are, and then prices were skyrocketing. Then we did not have the capacity to test locally. We had to ship our samples to Trinidad at the time, to CARFA. Then when all the closures occurred, we stopped getting flights. So what do you do? What do you do when you need to ship samples overseas for testing and your airport is now closed, there are no flights? Well, thankfully, we had the regional security system, the RSS, that, they came in right there on time, and we were able to benefit from them. And in addition, our partners or regional partners or international partners like PAHO, WHO, they were really with us every step of the way. And SGU, persons may not know that collaboration between Ministry of Health, SGU, and PAHO, we were able to start PCR testing at a very early stage, So that was a really huge milestone for us. And from then, we continued with those measures that we know had disrupted our life as we know it in our population. And we did our best. We were able to largely keep the disease under control, but it came at a heavy cost because many places had to close. We received significantly less visitors, and we are a tourism-dependent country, all right? So all of the beneficiaries of the tourism sector, the direct and indirect, was severely affected. And in fact, up to today, we have many of these individuals who still have no income, right? And we continued. Then there was a long period we had no cases. Then we started relaxing because we realized that, persons need to live. So in October, the decision was taken, okay, let us, open up a bit, start allowing commercial flights. And of course, with the return of commercial flights in October, we started getting cases and more cases and more cases. Culminated sometime in December when we had a huge spike at that facility, all right, which we once again had to go into overdrive to get under control. And we were able to work diligently despite all of the, despite we were swimming against a heavy tide of bad publicity and a heavy tide of, the work itself to control the outbreak was quite immense. But, we were disciplined and steadfast, and we were determined to get this back under control, which we did. In short order, we were able to control that. And right now we are benefiting from, once again, a period of calm. But I sense that sometimes, we have, I always say that, one of the best things one of our greatest accomplishments was that we saved the population from experiencing the true horrors of COVID-19. All right. Now, of course, sectors of the population have suffered tremendously. All right. Many persons have lost